Welcome to the CentreStage Rolleston podcast for One Flew Over the Cuckoo's Nest with special guests Claire Bruce, Shona Cotterill, director, Jarod Bingham, and your host, Leslie Long.
So we've got a few questions just to kind of introduce the play and talk about the things that will be bringing this show to life. So I think we'll start with you, Shona, and just ask you, what was it about One Flew Over the Cuckoo's Nest that made CentreStage Rolleston feel this was the right production to bring to a local audience now?
Sure. For me, I'm a huge fan of the movie, for starters, and the book is phenomenal. And I think this is a really good point to remind the community that mental health awareness hasn't gone away. It's not something that we've fixed and now it's all better. And I think it's really relevant that we bring this to the community now.
Anyone else feel, why is this a good time to bring this show? Why this show? Why now?
Well, I don't think, I think the show still has relevance despite the fact it's decades old. I think we always will have some level of mental illness. I think that's drawn out of trauma or personalities that don't quite manage. And yeah, I actually think it will always be relevant in this day and age.
Okay. And so, Jarod, being one of the younger members of the team, do you have any kind of connection to how the film or the play was back in the 60s compared to what you're putting on stage now?
Well, I think that there are some things that still remain relevant from when it was put on back in the 60s as to what it is now. I think that a lot of people are under a lot of stress from external sources, and I think that remains relevant and that will always be relevant. I think that there are some things that we kind of is sort of almost beyond our understanding that comes from within, and I think that's something that, even though it's set in a mental institution, it's more about sort of the mental mind and the people kind of just play their little parts, but they can mean more than just who they are. They can be their feelings can kind of reach into the audience, and their actions, and there's so much more depth to them than just what they appear to be.
So going back into that whole institutional thing, the play explores themes around mental health and institutional care. How do you think society's understanding and conversations around mental health have changed since the story was set originally?
I think definitely back in the day, I think that movie would have been in of itself quite a shock to society. It would have shown something that normal society wouldn't have been privy to. I think today we understand mental illness more. It is more in our psyche. Mindfulness has been brought in. I think PTSD is more understood now. First and Second World War wasn't even a relevant reality for those men. Nowadays, childhood trauma can cause PTSD. It's not just a war. So I think it's grown greatly. We also have, neurodivergent people that weren't seen as that way back in the day. They would have been put in an institution because they were deemed to be different. That's changed and growing to have more consciousness around it now, I think. Yeah.
I think there's so much more to be discovered about mental health. And whilst it's more easy to talk about now, I think that there are things that need to be discovered through oneself rather than through a scientific or even the academic viewpoint. And I think that's what makes sort of putting it on in person rather than watching it on a film or anything like that. It makes it so much more powerful.
And it allows you to kind of delve down into kind of how you may interpret how that person was feeling. All of the characters in the play have all got their wee backstories, really, haven't they, as to why they're there in the first place. And, you know, you, as again, especially, you know, there's a reason why you're there. May be different to the others, but, you know, there's a psyche around every single one of you that is different.
Because the play, I think the book too, initially, part of its theme was written to be a microcosm of the broader society. So the institutionalism, and that's, you know, I've been thinking about Nurse Ratched. Of all the people in the play, she doesn't have a backstory. And I think largely she is the institution. I think she values efficiency, order, and definitely rules above people. So if you fit into that, you're good, you're okay. And of course McMurphy doesn't. So he, I think, is seen as an illness that needs to be cured. So it does go, it's multi-layered, I think, this play.
And certainly when, you know, they discuss the Combine is seen as the machine, right? And I think Nurse Ratched is definitely representative of that institutionalised machine. You know, ECT and lobotomies were seen as a punishment, whereas now we have a more holistic approach. And it's that societal impact of the way that we're now approaching mental illness in a more holistic, individualised way. We've still got a long way to go.
I agree.
Sure.
I think, I'm not sure, there may be more consciousness around it, but I wonder how much compassion is around it. I think we still have a way to go.
Yeah, for sure. Cool. So this play, it balances confronting subject matter with moments of humour, which is quite a difficult balance to strike, right? So why is that balance of dark humour and serious themes so effective for audiences?
There's definitely a need for light and dark. I think McMurphy puts it best in the play itself when he says that you've got to laugh, especially when things ain't funny. I think that if we subjected an audience to an hour and a half of just straight depression, I think they'd want their money back. They might learn something, but we need to hold them. And it's harder to connect with someone if they're on just all woe is me. If we can kind of get them, and that's why I think so crucial about McMurphy and his comedy that he brings. He brings a lot of comedy to the other characters, and the more that they start to grow outside of their shells, the more they take risks and the more that they kind of say things that they wouldn't do, and especially it kind of rubs off on Billy and it rubs off on Bromden, and there are moments there that just make things so much more enjoyable, and even if people are having tough times, we laugh.
It's part of the human condition,
Exactly.
right? Isn't
I
it, to make
absolutely
fun
agree
of
with that.
the bad stuff.
Because I think humour is born out of difficulty. I know in my own family we had some sadness, some difficulty when we were growing up, and my memory of a lot of that is the humour that came, the humour that was round the kitchen table, and I think a lot of humour comes out of Britain. You know, a country in of itself, and the war and the poverty. And poverty breeds humour, doesn't it? And as you say, it's the human condition.
Yeah.
We need to be able to laugh. It's a release, for sure.
Yeah, and I was just thinking the same thing, the emotional release that laughter brings to a serious situation. And like Jarod said, around the audience, it's a great way to re-engage your audience in the story. So we don't, they don't lose sight of the story that's being told, and it sort of allows us as storytellers to present the story to them without them going, oh, this is really sad and depressing, I'd quite like to leave now. Right, we want to avoid that, right? And I think that having that humour is a really great way to that emotional release for our audience, because we are taking on them on this pretty intense journey, and to give them that release is a safety mechanism as well. It's like, it's okay, I'm okay, I can laugh, I can smile about these funny little things that are happening without detracting from the story that's being told.
I mean, it's not a
very
comedy
much.
by any
No.
means, is it?
No.
But
No.
it still has humorous parts
Yeah.
to it that
I
that
think-
is going to make
yeah,
you smile.
I think the humour makes those more
Yeah.
serious things, they hit even harder.
Yeah,
Yes.
absolutely.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Definitely.
So-
And the emotional growth of those characters through the addition of more humour the characters feel as the story progresses, I think is quite empowering for those characters as well and the storytelling.
Yeah.
Cool.
For sure.
Alrighty. So just to wrap everything up, what do you hope audiences will reflect on or talk about after leaving the theatre after this production?
I am really keen for people to go away from this show and think about it. Think about the mental illness in our community, in our society. Think about how, although we have come so far, is it a way of, do I need to check in with my friends and make sure they're okay? Is it time
Yeah.
for me to step out and go, perhaps I need some help? Is it time to go, is everyone else around me, the people that I love, okay? I really want people to go away and understand the relevance around the story
Yeah.
and not just an old story from a cool Jack Nicholson movie, but you know, it's,
Yeah.
it's just it's so much bigger than that, right?
Yeah.
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 For sure.
I would say the exact same thing. I would even say that I would want people to physically go and talk to their friends and their family, especially the ones who seem to be the funniest.
Yeah.
Yes,
Yeah.
dead right.
Yeah.
Because don't they say most really good comedians
Yeah.
are quite depressed
Yeah.
people?
Yeah.
People like to make people laugh because it
Yeah.
makes them feel good about
Yeah,
themselves. So
yeah.
I
And
think,
compassion. I hope
Yeah.
people when they think about it, consider compassion for people that are different than them.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah.
absolutely.
Cool. Thanks, guys. I really appreciate your time today. One Flew Over the Cuckoo's Nest is on show from the 10th to the 18th of July at Rolleston College. Book under CentreStage Rolleston's website or follow the link in the social media adverts. Thank you.